also, a lot of you guys, if you're absent, you can probably kind of figure this stuff out on your own if you work towards it. But for any of our classmates who aren't here, today on September 25th, we're doing 311. We're taking our Chapter 2 Mastery tomorrow. But right now, we're looking at this problem, trying to determine the growth in the tile pattern. Yay. It doesn't want to work that way. B is harder to formalize than A is. Well, so remember what I'm talking about with formalizing is saying that the number of tiles at any layer. Like, so figure 100 or figure 1000, could you just plug in 100 or 1000 to some formula to determine how many you get?
That's a lot easier. For me, that's a lot easier with B than it is with A.
Oh, sweet. That's how your brain works.
Mr. Ross is a pro. He uses a snipping tool.
If you're going to be a teacher, you got to be a pro with a snipping tool. I'll leave this up here so we can see both. Got probably a little over a minute left.
Oh wait, do we need to figure out the formula too?
Yeah, that was the second thing I asked you guys.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was just figured out.
Were you wanting to talk about A or B? Were you wanting to talk about A or B? A. You want to go ahead and give us some conversation about that? It is just 4x, or n if we're using n. So you said it's 4x or n, and we said n at the beginning, right? So we're using plus 1. How'd you figure that out?
Oh, I just did that, but it made it more confusing.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm trying to figure out like a pattern. I just count, just take n, just count how many of them are in there, and then just see if there's any extra left over, and just try to repeat that again.
Okay. So
This is linear.
in figure 1, now I'm going to come back to that statement, because you're right, but we want to talk about what do you mean. Figure 1 would have 5 tiles, right, if the 4 change was consistent, and it looks consistent. So then figure 0, right, we want to start talking about figure 0. If this is 0, how many tiles do we have? Well, if the 4 pattern keeps going, 1, right? So this is actually telling us what we start with before we actually go any figures. So there's this hypothetical figure 0 before the pattern starts that can have something there. Now, it doesn't always have something there. Yeah, so our pattern there would be 4n plus 1, and then we could talk to what it would look like. I think a lot of us probably, especially because what I wrote up here, 3 up, 3 out, 3 over, 4 up, 4 out, 5 over, 5 up, 5 out, 7. Yeah, and you can break them up differently, right? So if I group, right now I'm grouping all of these and then all of these. But if we do it different, what'd you group them as? I'm sure, but we gotta be quick. I'm gonna have you write in red because it's different.
Figure number, and then I said 4, 4, 4, 4 plus 1.
Is that gonna let you be able to draw the 100th figure though?
Yes, because it shows you that it'd be.
So you said you have 2, 2, 2, 2, and an extra on the corner.
2, 2 plus 1.
So how do you describe that with an expression though?
Plus 1 and plus n, and you'd end up having.
Oh, wait, it's still
Yeah,
the same thing, right? So I'm doing the Mr. Kabila thing.
Oh.
Right? You got to get used to your Phoenix teachers acting like we don't know what's going on, because that's half of like how we teach. So Bear recognized if I break this into that group, 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 that I have 4 matching groups in each of these, right? Depending on how we break it, and 1 bonus tile on the end. Still the same representation. Sorry, for the sake of time, we got to keep going. There are multiple ways to look at this, and I'm betting what you have to say is accurate, unless you're wanting to do B, and then sure, I'll let you do B.
Simon Shaskin. He's gonna solve B.
I don't know if it's there or over there.
So, I immediately saw it since it's 3x3. I noticed that 3x3 is 9, since that's the amount of figures. So I thought, well, you can probably move this over here, and then you have a 4x4, since this is no longer here, which leaves you with 16. Then you move these over here. You have a 25 by 25, so then that's 25. Or not 5 by 5, then that's 25. So all you have to do is take the figure number, add 1, then you're left with 3 for this example.
How would we write that algebraically?
Oh, yeah. I just try to show this way first. You would write n plus 1 squared.
And the parentheses Simon put in there are absolutely critical. If you just write n plus 1 squared, you're only squaring the 1. And if you write n squared plus 1, that's also not right. It's n plus 1, then square it. Anybody have any questions on either of these? Thank you very much, Simon. Beautiful solution. Oh, but don't work on it right now. You need to work on math, if nothing else. All right, so moving on. Thank you to our volunteers. Hey, Catan Club's in Hudson's room today.
What?
Sorry. Simon was just like, ah. And I was like, what just happened?
The scream of black sun.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my gosh! No. Okay.
Well, it's your house down there.
All right, so on your resource page, I mean, we might have time to work on it at the end. I would just keep it out.
219. Just. Yep. Sorry.
We already checked it. You can put it away if you want, or just wait until you get your binder back. Like, you know what I mean?
What did you say about Catan Club?
It's in Mr. Hudson.
This popped up, and this is what I get for going off to the side. I should learn better. But this just said Catan Club is in Hudson's room, so I said Catan Club is in Hudson's room because that popped up. But all right, so looking at our patterns here, I'm going to give you another 5 minutes to try to determine every pattern here. But I'll tell you what, the rule may not be like something we can algebraically express, right? We might have to verbally express it and say what happens to the input compared to what happens to the output. So one thing that I need us all to really solidify in our brain, X is always the input. And what I mean by that, because I know you are all nitpickers, is when graphing, if we draw a graph in XY axis, the input values, oh yeah, I don't have the ink layer open. The input values are your horizontal axis. That's your input. The output is however high vertical you go. That's determined by the rule. Okay, so input is the X quantity, output is the Y. If that's a new idea for you, you might jot that down at the top of your resource page. But then you got 5 minutes to try to figure out each of these rules that exist.
Oh, no, we don't have
This is on your resource page. I sure hope we're using our resource page.
Also, N is 2 letters down, A is the opposite. Y is 2 letters down.
Speak kind of quietly if you could, because you don't want to ruin it for other people that like want to discover it. Nope, I'm not taking questions right now, sorry. Especially from people that are sitting alone. My apologies, but I really encourage you guys to work together.
It has the word easy on it.
Okay, I didn't make it. I should have known better than to ever have like said that. Like next year I won't say things like that.
What'd you say?
That I don't like the word easy. So what I don't like is when students, really my point that I think you all missed was when you tell somebody, oh, well, that's easy, you make them feel bad. So, like, that's my point with disliking the word easy. No, not really. You are all very stuck in your, like, middle school mindset. It doesn't. If you go tell an adult, oh, that's easy, you don't know how to do that? Geez, like, you will make them feel bad.
If you say it like that,
That's the connotation always. When you tell somebody, oh, well, that's easy. If it's not easy to them, it's not easy. So when I say easy,
I'm having trouble with my ABCs.
He said,
sing the song.
he said C was he said C was in between them.
We got about half time left, probably. Wonder if I shake it, it'll go faster.
Oh, oh my gosh.
I am fairly surprised as I walk around and some people just aren't engaging. The class of gifted accelerated students not wanting to push themselves, that seems surprising to me. I walk around and people haven't written a single thing on their paper yet.
This is the only one I'm
all our global culture substitute did was creepily walk around and stare at us.
Also, okay, just keep it. Logan said he was
You're
going
not
to
on this
and
specific.
hope he got good luck this year.
since I'm writing random things to explain.
So, unless you can show me every math assignment that we've done up to that day,
This. Yeah, 6 divided by 2 is 3
I can't even add one stuff. Yes, I think.
What do you use?
does everyone have their plan? Move on. You don't say anything. Because you don't want your life. We're not.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be regular.
Patrick, are you interested in coming up for A?
I am. I will.
Come on up then.
Kind of B.
Crystal, are you interested in coming up to do B? And so you'll be after Patrick.
No, I'll do all of them.
I'm not even going to respond to people that are obviously not listening. Okay, we are going to have a really big problem this year if we don't sort out a couple things right now. I just asked Crystal, would you like to come up and do B? And I still have 4 people all talking for no reason. You can go ahead and start on A if you want. Saying, I want to do B, I want to do B, I want to do B. I just assigned B to someone. Open your ears, shut your mouth, unless it's an appropriate time, come to class. Right? Don't just show up. Be here. Be present in the moment. And I sure hope those people who were just doing it feel bad because you're not listening. The number one thing you've been taught to do at school, listen. And what we want is a lot of engagement out of you. We want you to talk a lot, but not at the sacrifice of having no idea of what's going on. So I think we're about to need to make a seating chart for this class because I think where people are sitting is not working well. So you have the next 2 days this week. Actually, we're taking a test, so you have the beginning of next week to prove to me that you can pull it together, or we're going to change things up pretty harsh in here. Patrick, what do you think that pattern is?
Just +2 letters.
Plus 2 letters. So we had LN, so we could look at LMN, okay. And we had WY, so WXY. Okay, sweet. Yeah, seems like it works. So we filled in A for C, D for F. Oh wait, D B for F. Oh, yeah, there's an E in between there.
Me and Mr. Hudson are both struggling with right.
Well, sometimes I'm goofing around and sometimes I'm just seriously bad at things. Awesome.
Was
So,
that
Crystal, if you want to
seriously
come up and do B, you can use a pen. Guys, I started putting the pens here because they magnetize easier. So if they're not there, you can ask about where they are, and sometimes I might not know.
There's 2 pens right there.
Right where?
On the side of your desk. Look down to the left. The desk with all your computers on it.
The stand-up thing.
Yeah.
No, like below, where your feet would go.
Oh. Those are the extras. So if ever, so these are meant to be hidden down there. These are the extra pens that like aren't being used right now. So I like that you guys saw those, but those are supposed to be hidden back there. There's one more pen floating around the room somewhere. It's okay.
If you have the pen, surrender it.
All your pens don't belong to us.
You can try to make the line thinner.
So guys, being that you have your practice pages, if you are done with this resource page, you can be working on your practice page right now while we wait to check our answers on the resource page. So for easy, Crystal wrote hard. For the output of light, Crystal wrote heavy. For the input of left, she wrote right.
I put, for light, I put dark.
Ooh.
It's the same value though.
This is the problem with, is it a homophone or a same spelling, different meaning? No, synonym is different word, same meaning. Homonym. Yeah, thank you, Crystal. So, if you perceived light as in lightweight, heavy would be correct. If you perceived light as in like light, then dark would be the antithesis, right? The opposite. So, you're perfectly fine. But so are you, right? Light could be heavy for the opposite, or it could be dark for the opposite.
This is why I hate the
Liam?
I thought about both, and then I realized dark has less letters than heavy, so I wrote dark.
Being efficient. Now, did you make up 2 other ones for the bottom? No. So what do you think the rule is?
Opposites. So red and green.
There's a really fancy word that I like to use big words sometimes because I still learn words as an adult. Antithesis. Anyone know what that means?
I don't know what that means.
Katie Ann,
Well, no, I was raising my hand for something else.
do you want to do C?
Cool, but also, I instead of that, I put negative x equals y for math.
Ooh, so if we make it a math rule. So wait, so if we do the same thing, you can come up and do C. But for Patrick's, if we try to make it a math rule, it would be x plus 2, he said. And you said y equals the negative x, or the opposite of the input. I love it. What color you want?
Purple.
Purple. I'm going to give you a smaller pen because it's easier to write with. Especially because we're trying to draw
My
shapes.
shapes look really weird, but I tried my best.
Well, and on the smart board, it's going to be pretty difficult too. What, is it different? Because that is what it is. Oh, you mean 1 over? That's not what we use.
What is that?
I know you have a knowledge set we don't use that notation. We're not like, it's a different language. Does that make sense? That's like, if you ask her a different language or a dictionary is written in Spanish, she wouldn't accept it. You're using it. You understand what I mean? Like, I'm not saying
Yeah, that Septagon is great.
we're
It's like a TP with a
algebra.
rod.
We're speaking about Euclidean geometry. American mathematics.
I'll give you the props on this.
What happened to the shape?
This is not a logic.
It's hard to write.
Okay.
That's fair, but
What is it?
Oh, it's
yeah.
So, a person that writes code, they would say, like, hey, what are you doing? And they say, oh, I'm coding. Do you have set by that? What is the difference between saying programming and coding? So, can you do me a favor? When I ask you something to be written in the plan book,
Whoa, why would you erase that? I'm looking at that. That's nice.
probably
Yeah,
that's
that one only
frustrating.
has
Dude, that
I
last
know I
shape
messed up.
that last shape
You're
looks
asking
like a bush.
And
And the one above that looks like a really old.
Somebody go up and do D. I don't even care. Fight each other.
I'm
I'm joking. Elena gets it. What? You got the first.
I have a question about you.
I'm going to like over D.
Oh! Scroll down. What is dude? You don't mind that? Scroll
It's just touching
That's not right. That's -3. It's times 2 plus 4. So it'd be -3, not -5. Yeah, Elena, because no, it'd be adding 1 to a negative.
She's right. She's right.
So all AOs.
She's right. Because the only way you get from negative to positive is instant multiplication. As if it's negative times negative. No, Elena, you're right.
No.
That's Bear's right. No,
right.
because
Bear's right.
a negative times
Bear's
negative.
right. I'm realizing it.
Because a negative
times a negative. Okay. A negative is negative is positive, but this is still a negative.
You're right.
So you would stop proclaiming that.
Shut up, you did that twice. Shut up.
Yeah,
No, actually.
Sit down if you're not Elena.
Okay, Bear's right. Okay, I'm gonna take here. Use the eraser.
All right, sit down. Did you not just hear me say sit down if you're not Elena? I'm coming up here. It does not help when everybody feels like they need to step in and help. Yeah, we got to wrap. Sorry. Thank you very much. I'm just going to stick this down here. Hey! So, I get that I was having a conversation with a classmate, but that divulged way too fast. And when a student's up here doing a solution, like, you need to respect that they're up here. You can't just bring yourself up and say, oh, well, let me do it. Like, each person gets their time, and even if they make a mistake, that's okay. Mistakes belong here. Mistakes are perfectly fine.
Wow.
Okay, mistakes belong in the math class.
Also, I'm in the right
So,
spot then.
work on your homework. Chapter 2 test tomorrow. The homeworks that are due today and the homeworks that are due Friday. Make sure you know what's due. Come see me if you're confused.
Liam, because